that being said, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
So agenda item number 4, approval of the consent agenda, council minutes of August 2nd, 2023, and bills received. Any questions on that? If there's questions or comments, if not, we need a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda, council minutes of August 2nd, 2023, and bills received.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Last chance for discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passes. We go to resident comments. Let's start with Ashley. Somehow between the city clerk and the mayor, we didn't get you on the agenda, so we're going to use you as a resident comment right now. So if you want to approach the podium, let them have it. Let them have it.
Well, so currently, like right now, I'm working on is the biosolids. I'm getting back at that. I'm doing soil tests, just sending those out to get them tested. Working on estimates for the sound park, and then also, and then getting ready for the biocells. So doing the grant for that. So that's about it. Any questions?
When's the golf tournament?
Oh, and I'm doing the golf outing. That is September 15th.
Okay.
It was scheduled for the 22nd, but it's a change to the 15th.
Any questions?
Were all the vendors happy with RAGBRAI? I mean, did people do okay as far as?
Yes, I feel like everybody was pretty happy. The only thing that I heard that it was not a lot of beer was selling, but everything else I think did really well.
That's
So,
exactly what Marengo said in the paper too.
and I think
They just-
everywhere
They just
else,
didn't want beer, they wanted water.
yeah, like the water, the Gatorade, all that stuff like sold out. So we were like out of that. Granola bars, I mean, light stuff. It was so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they were here, they had a long,
Yeah, but heard a lot of good comments about Belle Plaine, the stop, so I mean, that was pretty cool to hear.
Yeah,
about.
there were really nice comments. Yeah.
did you see the article I sent it to Sandy from the Iowa City Press Citizen that had photos, 30-some photos that their photographer took, and from Tama to Coralville, and there, towards the beginning, there were about 6 or 7 of them were in Belle Plaine.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh, cool.
Sandy can probably forward it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cool. Thanks.
No, I thought you did a good job. Speaking as a person who was housed in Coralville during that time period, but
Yeah.
everything I've heard has been very positive.
Yeah, everybody on the committee did a really good job. So Andy included and Danette and
Wrap up with them.
and, yeah.
and the end of the month.
Yeah, and that is one thing that we're finishing up on is August 30th. They're gonna kind of give us the number of riders that went through, so we can have that number. I think that'd be kind of interesting to know how many people rode through Belle Plaine. And then just kind of, we're supposed to give them kind of the things that went well and what didn't, the pros and the cons of the event. So,
No, I think you guys did a good job.
Yeah.
And it's hard to figure out.
well, it's a risk. You don't know, and it all depends on the weather, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the 4th of July. If we get downpour on July 3rd and July 4th, you got a mess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other
Thanks,
questions?
Ashley.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other resident comments? Come to the podium, give us your name and address so it can go in the minutes, please.
Sure. My name is Brian Lanning, and I live at 408 Commercial Street, Rose Hill. Apologize for wearing a hat. I burned my head and got a surgery. It's kind of gross to look at. I have been a general contractor for 29 years. I've been flipping houses for about 20 years. And I've already flipped and sold 2 houses here in town, 908 4th Avenue, 702 15th Street. I'm working on a couple more houses in town and looking to buy a couple more after that. The reason why I'm here tonight, and I'm a veteran, I have no problem with rules, laws, order. I'm surely not one of those flakes on television who wants to defund the police. But Benjamin Franklin said any law worth having is worth applying with common sense. So I understand the importance of where Belle Plaine is going. That's why I'm here spending money. I've spent about $500,000 so far. By Christmas, I'll be close to $1 million. That being said, I'm very interested where the city's going. That's how I make money. So while I support the cleaning up of the city and the police efforts to talk to people about troublesome yards, I think the speed on which I have bought houses and then turned them over as 100% remodeled homes inside and out would warrant a little bit of discrepancy from the police department. I'm getting nasty notices because I've got building materials in the front yard. Front of the house is dismantled. I gotta build it. Now, I understand that I don't necessarily work on my flip houses every single day. I get that. But I see myself as a partner in this community because I'm 100% with you guys. You know, let's grow. I'm providing quality homes for people who want to be part of the community. I'm not building junk so that I can rent it Section 8 when we possibly have problems. So what I'm simply asking is maybe just a phone call. You know, I have met the police chief and I've had a simple conversation with him. Didn't seem to go anywhere. In fact, I would be forced to make a blanket statement that I don't think he likes me. And I get it. My appearance is, you know, it could go either way. I get that. But from driving by my properties in the police car, rolling at 2 miles an hour, making eye contact with me and not stopping for whatever he has to say, and then sending me certified mail on the city's dime, to his wife or girlfriend giving me the middle bird emoji on Facebook. That was tasteful. To, I feel like I am being targeted because people in the police force, they know everybody in the city. We all know it. I mean, they drive right down Main Street, they see a car. They're like, they don't live here. They know what's going on in the city. So, I mean, when I first came here, I totally get it. When I come to a new town and I build things, never speed, I don't work late, don't let my guys play music. We stay calm, cool, and collected because when you're the new person or the new group, you're under a little scrutiny, and that's okay. But now that I've been here for 9 months, I would hope that I've proven myself as being somebody that people can rely on. And that's my overall goal. And that's why I've been self-employed for 29 years. Not a lot of people do that. So I'm not even asking for a definitive answer of any kind. I'm just putting the bird in city council's ear that sending me a notice demanding I clean up the front yard of a property that I'm working on and giving me a 10-day notice doesn't help me progress. So I can't get things done if I have to stop what I'm doing, go and take my stuff, stack it on a pallet, drive it across town and put it inside the garage so that I can turn around and do that again in a week. It's counterproductive. It doesn't help me move forward. It doesn't help the city move forward. That being said, I did some work in a small town called Clarence, Iowa. I single-handedly watched one police officer destroy that city. It took 15 years for them to fix it. I can go completely in depth with that story if anybody wants to call my bluff, but I would not ever disrespect your office and your meeting with feeding you BS. All I'm saying is that we are a team, and I would like to be part of that team. So if anybody could please consider that. I know that today is my 10th day. It's really close to my 10th day on my latest warning. And I've already naturally cleaned up some of the stuff from the yard because I'm working with it. Have I cleaned up everything from the yard? No, I haven't. I don't have that kind of time. I've already had 4 good people quit since we've been in this town because they're sick and tired of being followed by the police, being stared at by the police, and they don't feel comfortable here. That's ridiculous. I'm not harboring fugitives. I mean, you know, I'm a veteran. I was an Eagle Scout. My son's an Eagle Scout. You know, I've been a sports coach. I've been a Boy Scout leader for years. I don't have any scary skeletons in my closet, horrible arrest. I've never done any drugs. I'm the kind of guy you want around. And right now, there's people under your supervision that act like they don't want my help. It's mildly hurtful because I only have good intentions. So I just respectfully request that the council looks at that, maybe comes up with a solution. And like I said, my cell phone always works 7 days a week. Police chief is more than welcome to call me up and say, hey, you got a lot of stuff on your front yard over here, Brian. What's the plan? And I can tell them, we'll be there about Thursday. Got a customer I got to take care of real quick. It's just an idea, something everybody can discuss when I leave. Please and thank you. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Can you give us your cell phone number?
Sure. 319-540-4357. And if you forget that, that's 540-HELP.
I remember 4357 because of the help desk at work.
There you go.
That's fine.
So if you do want to call me, you may have to text me first because I have this thing on my phone that it won't ring if the person's not a contact.
Yep.
But I'll be more than happy if you guys want to all text me your phone numbers and I'll program everybody.
Steve and I will have a discussion with the chief over this situation, and I guess any piece of property you're working on, if you would leave a copy with our clerks.
Okay.
So that we would have, when we look through, and the chief's been on vacation this week, I requested a list of our latest nuisance complaints a week and a half ago, and I haven't got it yet, so I don't know. I know one that's out there because I know there's somebody else coming to the next meeting, but we'd like to eliminate that problem for you. If it's a work site, we'd like to take care of that and not have you cited as a nuisance complaint. So we'll work with you, I guarantee it.
I appreciate. Often the biggest delay when it looks like a house isn't being touched is usually because I'm waiting on licensed guys to take care of things that I can't legally do.
I'm not going to defend our police, but we've had some people in the past who've really abused the long-term trying to get a house rehabilitated.
Yeah.
So I think they're not, they're kind of a little defensive on seeing that stuff, but it's great that you come here because that is what we need. We don't want to see all these houses that can be rehabbed. We don't want to see them go derelict to where the point they have to be torn down.
Right.
Because that makes affordable housing for people that, we want to have move here. So, I mean, it's great that you're communicating and that you came here the way you did. That goes a long way in getting the problem resolved.
I
Because
appreciate it.
99.9 of the people in this town are really friendly and really reach out and will help a lot.
I
So it's
wholeheartedly
just
love
the-
Bill Plain.
Yeah. So it's
I just
good.
really ate at the meat place again before I came here. I love the place.
Yep, it's good. Yeah.
Did you say you were from
Yeah.
Rose Hill,
Yeah.
down on Highway 92, somewhere by close to Oskaloosa?
Correct. It's tiny. I moved there because I wanted to build one of those huge shop houses. And nobody would let me build one. They wanted me to buy like 5 acres of farmland or something to build a big one. So I found a little town and I asked the city council, could I build a huge barn here? Like, nobody ever builds anything here. Sure. Go ahead. But it's rough because 96% of my customers are in Cedar Rapids.
What was your name again?
Brian?
Brian? Great.
We'll work with you. That's
Brian
a
Lanning.
promise we'll keep.
I appreciate that wholeheartedly. And I'm,
And
Like I said,
anytime you have problems, come in and talk to either me, Steve, or talk to one of the councilmen. And
right, I
I mean,
appreciate
this
the support.
council has been very good on nuisance complaints, giving people latitude and time to work out problems with nuisance properties. So I'm sure they'll work with, especially if you're rehabbing houses that are going to go back on the market. I think that's an important factor.
I appreciate that. Having a city council who supports me makes my life tremendously easier. A lot of people say that they want change, and then when you show up with all of your noisy equipment and you make change happen, they start to give you the evil eye. But
Yeah, but all the neighbors around a house that needs rehabbed, I mean, it does nothing but help everybody's property around it.
I've
So,
had nothing but compliments.
Yeah.
People seem to love what I've done. That big old greenhouse down there at 702 15th Street on the corner, I got a full price offer in 3 days.
What, Vina's house?
Yeah,
I've been over there.
great.
So
Did you also say that you were interested in potentially building new homes?
I would be happy to. I've built 24 homes from the ground up.
That's something we're interested in too.
Yeah, I would be very interested in building some homes from the ground up. Maybe like some trendy townhomes or something, things that are going up in the big cities. Kind of give people, because I think that if we do something that's a little trendier, and a little bit new and flashy, we might be able to pull some people out of Iowa City and Cedar Rapids that want the small town safety and they want like the lower taxes and stuff. I think that that's the way to go.
Yeah, we find a lot of people from Cedar Rapids that property opens up here, they're more than willing to move this direction.
Well, and
Absolutely.
we have some areas zoned for R3 and R4, which would accommodate townhomes,
Yeah.
multiple family units on one lot.
That'd be cool.
So we could go over that sometime. That's roughly the map.
Right on. Yeah, I'd be very interested in taking a look at that. Cool.
Great.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Everyone have a good night.
You too.
Go to agenda item number 6, discuss for possible approval CDBG-DR grant program contract, general provisions, and acknowledgement of environmental review requirements for the city of Belle Plaine. 2020 Duratio CDBG-DR tree canopy award is not to exceed $40,000 and authorize the mayor and the city administrator to sign the appropriate documents. Wants to explain it. Judy?
Yeah, you bet.
This is
one.
very similar to the other derecho recovery grants that we've been doing. Cole Morgan, Shlu, and Zarodnik Law have reviewed everything. This is from the Iowa Economic Development Authority through ECOG. So Jennifer Fensel is helping us every step of the way, just like the other grants that we've received.
This contract is literally cookie cutter to the fire. Right.
Yeah,
And I appreciate what Gage pointed out in that.
yeah,
Some of the things that he pointed out are that this contract must go so broadly because we're dealing with trees and they're talking about land acquisitions and, you know, real property and so forth. So,
that DR program is massive.
yeah. So I think some of the things that he pointed out were worth pointing out, but they probably don't apply to us.
Correct.
I do take heed of the fact that he's pointing out that we really need to follow this to the letter of
Yeah,
the detail that they require, and I'm comfortable that ECOG is gonna be steering us through it.
yeah. So Jennifer Fensel told me, she's like, I will do, like, my role will be minimal in the paperwork and that kind of stuff, but it'll be, my work will be in like the collection, making sure that, you know, if we have to have a environmental study, that gets done, and, you know, trees, picking out trees and finding vendors and stuff like that, and then doing it on their timeline. And she'll tell us when it's time, just like with the generator. I asked her, I was like, well, can I start quoting? And she's like, just wait. She's like, just wait till, I was like, that's fine. I just wanted to know if there's anything I can do to be helpful. And she's like, no, I'll let you know. No problem. So I'm going to rely on her a lot for this.
Well, I remember last week it talked about the acknowledgement of environmental review requirements, so that's
Mhm.
pretty much,
That's why you have ECOG involved.
yeah.
Right. And one of the things that this grant will do is, she said, if we could limit it to certain areas. So our tree program historically has been citywide for anybody that wanted to participate. So she said, we really need to focus on an area. And I thought that for at least part of it, we could focus on the Prairie Park area where we had to take out so many trees and introduce more species there, because the majority of them are black walnut because of the black walnut tree farm up the way. So,
The mulberries are gone.
yeah, most of them. I think Jay Bird got about 99% of them, anything he could reach. So that's one of that's the thought process. And also there's some maintenance built into this, so we could put some funds into our tree fund that we have and leave it in there for having maintenance done on the trees down the road. That's my understanding. So if it costs money to water them, you know, or so forth.
Did we get everything we wanted planted in Franklin that they want to plant, or should we do more?
That's up to the park board. At the time that Lance was quarterbacking that, he had everything that he could handle.
Right.
But some of those were, you know, we're going into, you know, 2 years after, they're getting to the point where they are not going to need watered every week. I mean, it'd be a good idea, but they don't have to be. They hopefully are established by now. If we continue to plant trees, those new ones will be cycled in. So I'm all for planting them in any park, and that'll just be in, you know, we'll certainly entertain ideas of people planting them in the right of way. We just had lower participation every time we did it. So we had to scramble to find places to put the trees. And I ended up deciding to put more and more into Prairie Park because of to have a more diverse ecosystem in there.
I know that Gage pointed out something about floodplain,
Yeah.
and that kind of is,
Part of it is in the BFE, the base flood elevation map that came out right before I started my job. And I worked with Iowa Floodplain Management and FEMA, and the map is supposedly changed. They just haven't changed it on the back end, it's changed, but not on the front end. So if you look at a website, it's still there, but it's my understanding that they corrected all of it because they had when they did their computer modeling, they put Salt Creek flow data in Minnow Creek watershed. And that's a big difference in the size of the water that goes through those two different waterways.
How can we get comfort that that's,
When we do the environmental study, that's probably something I'll have Nate do. Then they can do a elevation certification on that.
Plus, it's the federal government, you never get satisfaction.
So there will be places that we can plant, maybe places that we can't.
well, I just wanted to note that in 6.9, Gage had kind of said that, as an absolute, you're not supposed to plant in a, I don't know what the terminology was, but
Flood hazard area.
yeah, flood hazard area, so I
Right.
wasn't sure exactly what that was, but there's also a word unless it also ensures. So looks like there's an out. We
Right.
wouldn't want to build a building in one of those areas necessarily.
No, and actually planting trees in those areas would be beneficial to water retention and, so I think that's kind of one of those broad terms that I'm going to get clarification on from Jennifer, because planting trees in that area would directly help that embankment control and things like that.
Just need to make sure we've got the right support for.
Correct.
Let's move to a motion for accepting this grant program contract.
I make a motion to approve CDBG-DR grant program contract.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Last chance for discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 4-0. Number 7, discuss for possible approval, resolution 230803, a resolution approving final closeout documents relating to airport rehab runway 1836 taxiway and apron project. When are we gonna start that project?
That's done.
It's
Just
all
the
done.
closeout.
Yeah,
So does this include what, didn't we have paint problems on some of this stuff?
That was all corrected. We went after the construction bond on that, and they had to redo that to FFA code, FAA code.
Looking for a motion.
Farmers know.
I move to approve resolution 230803, approving final closeout documents relating to the airport rehabilitate runway project.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
I just wanted to make a comment for Sandy and the regarding, it says Belle Plaine without the E at the end, but I think that was part of the way the project was written. So I just want to clarify if that needs to have an E there or not. I think that's the way it was written.
Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, carries 4-0. Discuss for possible approval, resolution 230804, resolution approving the transfer of funds to close the sewer detention basin project. Sandy, do you want to comment on that?
So the detention basin at the end of the day is sitting with a negative amount hanging out there. Has to be covered by the sewer operating fund anyway. Really not have any more active action on out. That's all.
Questions? Looking for a motion?
I'll move to approve resolution 230804, a resolution approving the transfer of funds to close the sewer detention basin fund.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, passes 4-0. Discuss for possible approval, resolution 230805, a resolution accepting and approving the annual financial report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Resolution number, but I'll fix that. This is just basically basically a regurgitation of information. It doesn't, it's nothing that can change. It's just a matter of, we have to do this report to the state every year before the 1st of December, I believe, so.
Questions, council? Looking for a motion.
I move to approve resolution 230805, accepting and approving the annual financial report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Last chance for discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Approve the updated memorandum of understanding regarding the state offset program. Again, I'll turn to Sandy on this.
So what this is, we have had a memorandum of understanding bills with the governor's reorganization of departments. It's no longer being handled by administrative services, so it requires a new MOU. It's the same exact agreement that we had before. It just has a different department's name in it.
Great, that's easy.
No
So-
paperwork here.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. So it just changes it to say it's now administered by the Iowa Department of Revenue instead of before it said it was administered by the Department of Administrative Services.
Looking for a motion for this one. We've been pretty successful collecting off of this, too.
I'm glad there's not a lot of changes involved.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward.
I'll move to approve the updated memorandum of understanding regarding the state offset program.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, passes 4-0. Discuss for possible approval of the Knights of Columbus Tootsie Roll Drive collection from 7:30 a.m., that's probably gonna be more like 8 a.m., to 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, September 9th, 2023, at the corner of Highway 21 and 7th Avenue. That's the date of the Iowa State game. Discussion? Now that I've found where they hid the Tootsie Rolls.
Did you get a couple?
6 cases are set in Tama at the Catholic Church that were supposed to be delivered here. We've been hunting the church
Oh, you've been looking for
for
them.
4 weeks. We
Seriously.
thought somebody stole them. The only place I didn't look was the tabernacle. So can we have a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve the Knights of Columbus Tootsie Roll Drive collection from 7:30 or 8 until 1:30 on Saturday, September 9th.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. By the way, a couple of $1,000 will end up at the special ed program out here, so it's not like we collect all that money and then it gets shipped to Dubuque. I think 20% goes to Dubuque and some goes to special ed and then some goes to South Tama because Chelsea's a part of this Knights group. And I think last year we gave them $2,000 went to resource room out here, so it's, most of it stays in town. If there are no further questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. You have your treasurer's report, your budget report, and your solar report. Solar report actually looks pretty good.
Wallfield's going good, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have to be pleased with the whole solar report all the way through.
It's, looks like
in the shop. You should be alarmed, although it looks like, we spent more instead of getting savings there. They're actually banking production. So they aren't using everything they're producing right now. So they're using a lot less power, yet they're making more power, so it just gets stored, so it's kind of like saving for a rainy day kind of thing. So when the time comes that they have to use more power, it's banked, so they won't have to be buying it. So, gotta pay to produce it, but it's cheaper than having to buy it.
In-store credit.
Yep. They're doing well.
SJ's 11% rebate.
Everything that'll fit in the bag.
No, it's all looking good.
No, it really is. Any other questions on any of these for the clerk? Let's go to project updates from the city administrator.
All right.
Before I let him get started, let's plan on next Wednesday. Date is August 23rd to have a special council meeting to discuss approval of property purchase. Can we do that at 6 o'clock? This will be in closed session and I don't think it's gonna take you that long.
I'm okay.
That's fine
Yeah,
with
I'm
me.
fine.
Let's go at 6 o'clock next Wednesday then. Okay, now you can take it away, Steve. Sorry to steal your thunder, but
That's all right. You're the mayor. That is exciting. So Sandy, Nate and I met on a teleconference with Karen Howell from USDA regarding just kind of an overview of our project and where we're at and kind of some of the things that we can utilize USDA for. When we did the preliminary engineering report, that was submitted to the USDA for potential grant funding and also financing the project for well 6 water treatment plant is priority 1. So we just kind of, it was a get to know everybody thing. Nate already knew her. He's worked with her, and the person that's his guru, she called out. She's like, "Oh, I really enjoy working with that person at their firm." So they have that was a good feeling. They have a good relationship with USDA. I walked away with very positive feelings about that. I don't know how you felt about it, Sandy. It's good. I mean, it's going to be, they are very excited to help us. Nate and I have been assembling our water quality testing results over the last couple of years and kind of facilitating so that he can get all those and analyze them for all of the wells, but especially well 6. So what's in the water, what do we need to do with it? And if we need more testing, what testing do we need to do? So they're working on that. Nate and I met with Alliant Energy to go over power for the water plant in different locations where it could go based on several ideas that we had. And we pinned down the best place that would have adequate power so we wouldn't have to pay any additional upgrade for that. We don't know what the water treatment plant's power consumption demand is going to be yet, but after we talked it through with an Alliant Energy representative, it wasn't David Weiss, who we normally work with. He's working out of town for a few weeks. When David's back in, we're going to go back over it with him and make sure, we have good three-phase here. We have 4160 volts, and that'll be adequate to supply our power needs. I reached out to the state hydrologist that I was working with Nate, introduced them to one another as our group. They already knew each other, but for our project. And so that conversation is in the works. I talked to Eagle Point about possibly doing a PPA at the treatment plant. So if they thought it was feasible to have solar at the water treatment facility, we could have a solar array there, just like we have at the well field or anywhere else, to help offset the electrical costs there. And when I talked to Larry Steffen, he was very excited to hear about that. He said, sounds like, he's like, you know, we're just in our baby steps right now. We don't know the energy supply and demand and all that. But he said, I bet that the people that already have invested in your town will reinvest in this to add to their portfolio, because they've been pleased with the way we've been working out. And after we got the demand rate code thing worked out, like, my relationship with Eagle Point has been great. I had some misguided frustration towards them for a while until I understood fully how all that worked. And then we had to point it in a different direction, and then we got our results. Let's see. Mayor talked about the closed session on the matter of land. Jay demolished the restroom at Franklin Park under the supervision of our special insurance company auditor, and I think all that went pretty well. Do you have anything to say about that, Jay? So now they wanted to do a trial run to see if we were competent enough to do this on our own, because a lot of cities don't do it. So we're now fully vetted to do demolitions with our special insurance.
Jay's going, yes, I vetted.
But he says that he's working on the foundation. He said they really built that thing like a brick. You know what? It was very thick concrete. They must have got a good deal on it.
I have to like do a report on what Jay did and
I'm
come
sure there'll
back.
be one.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some kind of an assessment, and nobody's perfect, so I'm sure they'll probably have some recommendations for us, which, anytime we're inspected for anything, they always say, at the end of the day, they're trying to help us do things the way we need to do them. So it's not like we would get, dinged for it, or have to pay more or anything like that. Just so that's cool. And I met with, I can't remember when that was. I met with the park board to go over with the architect, and so they've got that project moving forward for the restroom. So that's good news. One of my peers / mentors, actually a couple of them, recommended a program for me for further mentorship and personal development. So I talked with them, and then I talked with the people that are part of the program, and they said that I would be a good fit. So they invited me to join that. So part of it is like mentorship. Part of it is like ongoing, we meet with like 10 people once a month virtually. And then I'll have some special counseling sessions available to me. And then they also invited me to be part of a think tank to come up with, like they throw problems out, and because they thought that I brought something to the table that some of the other ones didn't. So I'm excited to do that. Some of the mentorship program with the classes and stuff had a fee, but I didn't budget for that, so I'm just paying for that out of my pocket. But I think if the council's cool with it and I like it, I'd like to budget for that for my own personal development. But I'll know more. My first session is on Friday.
Is this through like other city managers?
Yeah. So the one group that I'll be with for the group discussion is nationwide. So it's like some counties in other areas have a county manager, like before we just had a city council and mayor, and the county doesn't have a county manager, they have the supervisors.
How much are you talking?
For the class,
Yeah.
he said that he wasn't gonna charge me very much, but after that's gonna be probably $1,000 a year for the class to be in. So that'd be 12 classes, or any special ones that I would need, it would be additional. So if there was some kind of crisis that I needed to reach out. But so this is something that my in-state mentors do. So we have different levels of communication. And so like the city administrator from, there's one in Colorado, one in Georgia, 2 in Pennsylvania, 2 in California, 1 in Minnesota, and I can't remember where the other one's from off the top of my head. Colorado, I said that already. So if nothing else, I'll just pay for it, and that'll just be a
Do we have-
benefit to me.
For the police department and for the fire department, do those guys have classes they go to, and does the city pay for things like that?
Yeah, we budget for it, personal development. And we budget for personal development within City Hall, but that usually goes towards the clerk's training that they need to do. And I didn't budget anything for me for that. So I'll do that next year.
Okay.
Or this, when we do the next budget.
It's already messing with next year's budget. We just
I
started
heard
July
that.
1.
Right, exactly. I heard that.
So
Anything else, Steve?
street stuff's going to be happening soon. Pelling's going to be coming into town. They've given us a couple dates, but they're on the way. Alliant Energy's on the way to start their next push with infrastructure build out. That is all I've got for tonight.
Mayor's report, I have no committee updates because the last committee meeting I was supposed to be in attendance. I was in the University of Iowa hospitals, and I sure wasn't getting up out of bed to go attend that in Cedar Rapids when it was all budget for. We will have possibly a surprise for you coming up in the next couple of weeks dealing with the Herring Hotel. I think we have a way we can attack the Herring Hotel and get rid of it. Now that we find out people, if it's starting to really fall apart and we've had people inside it stealing copper, it's time we've got to do something with it. And Sandy's been working hard on the budget items for that. So don't be surprised if we aren't looking for an approach there. Correspondence, there's a barbecue luncheon flyer. That's from Bent Development. That's for our clerks. We do have a guest speaker at it this year. Sandy most definitely wants to go, and I can't convince Ashley she should attend, so I'm not going to make her go to a luncheon she doesn't want to go to. And then the other one's an update from Chief Hudson. And it's been a while. We're going to run into scheduling. Big part of it's going to be, well, Checkle's already approved to go to.
ILEA.
No, he's got a test yet.
He's
Oh,
still got a test too.
He's been passing his pre-test, I guess.
What about Bat Shelter?
I think he's got some.
they will both test next week.
It's coming up.
Well, that will make it a little easier if we get both of them through the testing phase of it. We'll continue to interview. You know, some towns are going to paying a bonus to get policemen. Not convinced that's, we have longevity pay for our police department the way it is.
We have an interview tomorrow morning. Sorry to interrupt, Mayor.
What do we have? Is it 4 now? 4 officers?
Chief,
The county chief, right?
And then, of course, when you send one to training school, they're only good 2 to 4 years, except on weekends. It's a mess. It's been in the national news constantly for the last 3 weeks. That everybody's running short. And I think at some point in time, the states are going to have to wake up and say, what do we do to, and the chief just told me about they hired a prison guard the other day at Anamosa that's got a prison record. Well, that's pretty good. Let's hire somebody that's done a robbery or 2 and make them a cop.
That's how the government oversight committees work in DC.
Well, I think that one of the things that
today they probably.
the chief talked about was that, you know, you could get some older guys that would have some experience, but the physical test is like you're going to be part of the Marine Corps.
It
And
is.
if they would slower that down to responsible small town, which you're going to deal with 98% of the time.
It's the same physical agility as being an FBI officer.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
Well, we'll get right on that.
I think you should, a letter.
Yeah, and a letter from the mayor of Belle Plaine should straighten this all out.
You know a lot of people. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You've been in bombers before. They know who you are.
Other than that, I don't have any old business. Residents seem to have left the building.
I have a question. How's the water situation? With 6 being infused and all of that?
I had,
ain't running yet.
Oh, it's not running yet?
No.
Oh,
No, we're still,
Judy thought she tasted it.
no, we're still
We
hanging on
did.
there.
Judy did.
What?
I made a joke. I said Judy thought she tasted it.
no. I
She was
just
drinking
assumed
out
that
of
it
her garden
was.
hose again.
You think we'll have to?
Probably, but
it's just holding steady. That's the thing, is like you're one, you know, just like the day that everybody decided to haul water out on the same day. You're just like one thing like that away from being in trouble, or a big water main break, you know, and you lose that buffer.
Do we think that the restrictions have had an impact?
not like we'd like to see, but they have had some, but there's
I
still.
think they're down
pretty good
about
consumption.
30,000 gallons a day, maybe. So to 12% improvement.
All we can do is just ask people to conserve where they can.
Keep conserving.
We get out there and arrest people if that's what you guys want.
I watched my car in Cedar Rapids.
There, that's, go to Blairstown and wash your car over there.
That way you keep this money in the county.
Well, if there's no other questions, comments, or poison darts to throw, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's a non-debatable item. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You're out at 7:26 PM.
But what happens if we all voted no? Then it would be a debatable
We have to
item.
keep talking.
Yeah. I'd
Do that.